Welcome to Prestige Perspective. I'm your host, Etzel Brower. Our discussion now focuses on types of income, but the category and the focal point that we're going to take right now is based on risk. So, what do you need to know about risk when it comes to your income? So, we go back to the board here. We have a similar chart that maybe you've seen before already. Types of income, active, passive, and portfolio. Just to highlight those types of income once more, active income is when you actually are working for money. So it's an active process. Passive income is something that you've done in order to receive dividends or compensation after the fact. And last but not least, portfolio income is something that you own or control. All right. So in regard to the types of risk, I'll start with the very first one. So active income. So active income gets, it gets inhibited, or there's problems that can happen within active income or challenges when you have points of failure. So let's say you have one job and that job decides that they're downsizing and that your position is no longer needed. When they downsize, then your job disappears. When your job disappears, if that was the only source of income that you had, now you have the challenge of trying to figure out where is the next source of income going to come from. So usually this day and age, most people work, let's say a 40-hour work week, and they have one job. And if that disappears, they're back on the job market. They had to find another job to supplement the income that they lost. So they can deal with challenges such as, I need to find another job that pays me as much as I did before. Maybe I need another job that pays me more than I had before. So that point of failure can be very challenging, especially when you're trying to line up the next opportunity, because sometimes it can take a decent amount of time before that next opportunity does appear and present itself. In other cases, some people may not suffer from a single point of failure, but they put their time into, let's say, 2 or 3 jobs. And in those cases, they're trying to essentially establish an income requirement that they need, and they're trading a lot of their time for money. So in that case, they don't have a lot of time to maybe do the things that they're interested in doing, but they're able to hopefully put the hours in to be able to hit that income threshold that they wanted, that they would like. So in dealing with risk, it definitely helps to not have a single point of failure, which is essentially why I'm giving this presentation today, just to give you an idea of various types of income and what you can actually do to shore up any risks or challenges that you may actually have maybe from a single point of failure. The next type is passive income. So passive income is usually tied with entrepreneurs. The reason it's tied with entrepreneurs is entrepreneurs usually put a lot of work in the front end in order to see something through to, let's say, a finish line or to receive passive income. On the passive income side, the big challenge there is funding and time. So for an entrepreneur, they're using other people's money and they're using their own time to, let's say, start a business or to create a product or an offering or whatever it may be. And so if they don't have enough time to devote to that process for whatever they're creating, most likely that process or that project isn't going to see the finish line. It's going to fail. And if they don't have enough funding to get them through the various stages that they need in order to develop what they need to put together, they'll also fail. So usually anyone's trying to start a business, those are the two things that most businesses fail as a result of, because there wasn't enough time or there wasn't enough money. So you want to make sure that you have a plan together and that you line up, again, your funding and your time so that you can see whatever you're starting to the finish line. Sometimes it can not be fun to start and then have to restart, but again, make sure you have those two things in line to make sure everything works. And then last but not least is portfolio income. So the big risk there is diversification. If you're not fully diversified, in other words, if you haven't spread all of your investments over a number of different, let's say, industries or disciplines, so that if any one thing falls, so for example, take real estate back in the mid-2000s where we had the big housing crisis. If all of your money was in real estate and, the way it was tied up, let's say it wasn't rentals, let's say it was fix and flips, and, the housing market sort of went down like a big drop, then you may have lost a lot of your nest egg or a lot of everything that you saved up for. In that case, you were not diversified, you were focused. Now, if the real estate industry did great, again, you see those dividends and you ride that roller coaster up. But if everything goes down, you ride that roller coaster as well. So the whole idea is diversification is to spread your risk over a number of different areas so that you don't have to worry about a systemic loss affecting you across the board. So big thing there is diversify. In other words, don't just put all your eggs in one basket. Make sure that you spread things along so that if there's anything that does happen, such as a hiccup in the market, that does not negatively affect you. And this really goes for retirees, honestly. If you look at your biggest nest egg, it's probably your retirement fund. And if your retirement, again, if you're not looking at it or you're not really sure what's happening with it, that's something you want to take a look at. You don't want to leave it in someone else's hands. You actually want to put that in your own hands. And you want to make sure that whatever's happening is lining you up to have the best retirement possible. And, well, if that's not happening, that's something you want to take another look at. If you have questions, comments, looking for, some suggestions as far as how you can get on the right track, please feel free to leave your feedback in the comments below. And if you have any topics that you'd also like me to cover, feel free to include those as well, and I'll see if I can give you some more insight into those processes. Thanks for listening.